So when I had first came across the trailer of The Rule of Jenny Penn, I thought it looked awesome, right? It just looked freaky. It was obviously portrayed as a horror film, dealing with old folks in a retirement home. I mean, it just seemed really freaky, right? And if there's one thing I can say about like a weird niche thing in horror films is when they use old people, it's genuinely freaky and a bit scarier because they either look more menacing or they ain't got nothing to lose or they're the last one you would expect, and it's just freaky because they're just old, right? And if there's one thing that we're all afraid of, it's the fear of aging, and getting older. So being put in situations when you're getting old, and at an older age is definitely going to be harder for you to get out of compared to you being young and spry. And I mean, there is that movie Old People on Netflix, where it's literally all these old senior citizens like trying to kill and attack this woman and her kids. It's like pretty ridiculous, but shit like that is genuinely freaky. So when I saw this trailer, I was like, oh, this is gonna be some weird supernatural psychological horror film. Oh my gosh, I'm down. Plus it had John Lithgow in it, and I'm a big fan of John Lithgow. He's been in all sorts of stuff, but I didn't realize Jeffrey Rush, who was also in this, I didn't realize he was fucking Captain Barbossa. I mean, man, it's crazy. It's been so long since he's portrayed that character, and I didn't, follow actors and stuff like that back in the day. I still barely do, in a sense, but I definitely didn't realize that was Captain Barbossa of the Black Pearl. It's pretty fucking cool. So kudos to you, Jeffrey Rush. It's awesome. But this movie was super weird. It was really good, but it was fucking terrifying because, again, the movie does take place in an old folks home, and that is one thing that, again, a lot of us fear is being put in a home or not being able to be with your family and spend your last days with your family, or people that have are losing their minds, losing their memory, whatever it may be. It's just one of the worst things that we can endure when we get older. And in this movie, it follows Jeffrey Rush as this character, this judge Stefan. He's a big judge or whatever, city judge, and he ends up having a stroke, and he gets put in this home, and he's completely against the idea that he needs to be in a home, but apparently I don't believe he has any next of kin. He doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have anybody that could take care of him, so he's kind of stuck in this home, but also half of his body doesn't work, so he kind of needs the help. But so while he's there, he has to get used to the living conditions of living in a retirement home and not really being able to do everything himself. And he ends up meeting Dave Creeley, played by Mr. John Lithgow, right? And Dave is fucking crazy, right? Dave uses this hand puppet that he is in love with. They don't really explain how or why he got it. They just say that sometimes they let old people play with toys and they shouldn't. It regresses them, and he has this doll that he just uses to terrorize everybody in the retirement home. He just fucks with everybody and does heinous shit to everybody and just uses this doll, and then who rules? Jenny Penn. Jenny Penn rules this home, and he molests the old ladies. He fucking assaults the men in their sleep and messes with people's food and steals people's food, and she's just a nuisance. It's wild. And so as he's messing with Stefan, he can't get any of the nurses or faculty to hear him out because they all think he's kind of he's just old, he's senile, he's having bad dreams, whatever it may be, because John Lithgow, Dave is never seen around with him, but he wakes up and he's all furious and stuff. And it is just a wild movie, because can you imagine being put in a home and then being terrorized by someone in that home and then no one believes you? That is horrible and it's terrifying. And all the other supernatural-ish elements in it are really just John Lithgow playing an amazing psychopath. And it's a really cool movie, and it is very scary given the context of it, of just again, the fear of aging and being in a retirement home where no one can believe you because you're just aging. Some people in there literally are losing their minds, but they have just enough to know, in scenes when John Lithgow is messing with them, it's just they're hurting and they are freaking out and they're scared, but they also can't do anything about it, whether they tell someone or because Dave isn't gonna stop, right? And it's fucking freaky. I genuinely liked it. It was a cool movie. very cool, horror film. And again, John Lithgow playing a serial killer, fantastic. Or not a serial killer, but a psychopath. He doesn't actually kill anybody. And then, but I mean, shit, they do wish they were dead. And again, Jeffrey Rush, I had no idea he was Captain Barbosa. That's so funny, because I was watching it, I felt like I had seen him before, but I was like, I don't know where. And then when I'm looking it up to do this review, I'm like, holy shit. Here's Captain fucking Barbosa. Oh, man. But, yeah, it was a fantastic movie. I don't even want to give away the ending, because it is pretty wild, and it's just weird. And it's crazy whenever he says, who rules, and they say Jenny Penn, he arches his arm over, and then he makes them lick her, he makes him lick the bottom of his wrist. And he says, lick her. And, it's just like, oh, God. And they do it because they're all scared and they're fucking old. They can't do anything. Oh, God. It was definitely it was a very nerve-wracking film. So, if you like horror movies, this is definitely a good one. There's no blood. There's no gore or anything. There's just good old-fashioned old people swag. Anyway, The Rule of Jenny Penn, definitely give it a 9. 8.5, 9 out of 10. This has been Ghost of the Craig. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.